हरे कृष्णा। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। Hare Krishna. We'll continue our discussion through this Shravanam Smaranam series of postings. As you all remember, we are covering each post with one Mahajanas. The context is 6th canto, 3rd chapter, 20th and 21st shlokas, where Yamaraja is telling his messengers about the principles of religion during the discussion after they come back fighting with Vishnu Dutas about Ajamila. The shloka is 6th canto, 3rd chapter, 20th and 21st. Swayambhu Narada Shambho Kumara Kapilo Manuho Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Balirvaya Sakhirvayam Dwadishaiti Vijanimo Dharmam Bhagavatam Bhataha Guhyam Viruddham Durbodham Yajñātvamrutamashnuté. Hare Krishna. So in this post we will cover about Swayambhu Manu. Swayambhu is Brahma. We have covered Swayambhu. We have covered about Narada. We have covered about Lord Shiva. We have covered about Lord Kapiladev. Today we will cover about Manu. He is also called as Swayambhu Manu. He is the first created man, and his job was to progenate, to increase the number of people in this universe. He is also called progenitor, and in Sanskrit it is called Prajapati. So Manu was given a huge responsibility, and they had many siblings. Manu and Shatarupa, his wife, have given birth to many people, and among the prominent of them is Uttanapada, who is the father of Dhruva Maharaj, and one of their daughters is Devahuti, who got married to Kadamuni and gave birth to Lord Kapila, who also is one of the Mahajanas. So in this way Manu had a very important and very accountable responsibility to increase the mankind, to progenate the mankind, progenate the universe. So while doing so, Manu has held his responsibility very well, and he was known as a very great emperor, and he had a very long life. So using his long life and his knowledge, being a direct son of Brahma, Manu is known to have talked, advised, preached and shared his knowledge with many great saints of many generations. And he was also known to be a very compassionate emperor, and his body of knowledge was compiled as Manu Smriti, that is also known as the Dharma Shastra for the mankind. Manu Smriti is very popular, and it became a reference point of law for the social needs, the do's and don'ts of social needs for many people. Even today, Acharyas refer to Manusmriti tenets to decipher what is good and what is right from a social behavioral point of view, to establish ethical and moral principles in the societies. So in that way, Manu's contribution is extremely great. So we remember in that humility this great Mahajana, Manu, who is the original progenitor of this universe, who was very compassionate, and who has given us the great body of knowledge called Manu Smriti. So today we will remember Manu, the great Mahajana, through a Srimad Bhagavatam shloka, which is in 4th chapter, 11th canto, 13th verse. Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 11th chapter, 13th verse. It's a very beautiful verse where Manu is giving a siksha to all of us. Titikshaya karunaya maitrai cha akhila jantusu samatvena cha sarvatma bhagavan samprasidati. So here Manu is saying Bhagavan Samprasidati. The Lord is very satisfied with his devotees when the devotee greets other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. Tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. So this is what Manu is telling. We should make these kind of a shlokas actually as guiding lights of our life towards the progress of bhakti mark, because scriptures give the signs of self-realization, that is SEIENCE, and scriptures also give signs SIGNS of good and bad and right and left for us to proceed forward in our bhakti mark. So titikshaya karunaya maitrai cha akhila jantusu samatvera cha sarvatma bhagavan samprasidati.
तितीक्षया करुणया मैत्र्या चाखिल जन्तुषु समत्वेन च सर्वात्मा भगवान् संप्रसीदति तितीक्षया करुणया मैत्र्या चाखिल जन्तुषु समत्वेन च सर्वात्मा भगवान् संप्रसीदति.
The Lord is very satisfied with the devotee when he sees the devotee has tolerance, titikshaya, karunaya, mercy, maitra cha, friendship, and jantusu samatvena towards all the humanity, samatvena tolerance, sarvatma for everyone, equality, and for all the living beings. Bhagavan Samprasidati. The Lord is very satisfied with the devotees when they have these four qualities: titikshaya, karunaya, maitreya, samatvena. So the context of this shloka is Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, we all know, is a great devotee. At a very young age, in a fit of anger, he went to meditate, to come face to face with the Lord. He was given very nice instructions by Narada how to see the Lord, how to meditate, and he did so much of austerities, and he got the blessings of the Lord, he got the darshan of the Lord, and he also became one of the eternal stars in this cosmic universe. And he was also known to be a very powerful and very good king. So Dhruva Maharaj once gets very angry because the Yakshasas kill, some of the tribes of the Yakshasas kill his younger brother, Uttama. So in the fit of anger, he goes towards that region, which is geographically known towards Tibet region, and he engages in a fierce war with them. And because he is a very powerful king and a powerful emperor and a soldier, he starts killing those Yakshasas because they have unnecessarily punished his younger brother. So at that time, Manu intervenes. Manu is obviously his grandfather like person. Manu intervenes and gives this siksha, which runs into several shlokas in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 4th canto, 11th chapter. Basically, the message that Manu gives is very important. He tells Dhruva that he cannot use force without any rhyme or reason, and always the punishment should be commensurate with the nature of the crime. So that law, that philosophy has to be followed, and we see that even in this modern civilization, in our courts, that philosophy is still followed. There is also a forgiveness, a chance for reforming even the biggest of the criminals who do atrocious crimes. So Manu gives this very important message to Dhruva that he has to punish in accordance with the crime, and he cannot use his power on everything and anything. So in this way, he tells to Dhruva that it is better to have tolerance, mercy and friendship and equality, and then we become very dear to the Lord. In that way, he pacifies Dhruva while also saving the remaining dynasty of those people who punished his brother. yakshasas. So this instruction is very important for us also in our daily life, because if we want to move forward in our devotional life, we have to always remember that we came into this path just because somebody had tolerance, because it's very clear when somebody teaches us, when we are in the mode of ignorance, when our eyes are closed, even when our eyes are closed, we don't want to see, the other person has a lot of tolerance. Our gurus, our teachers through instructions, our parents, our elders, who all have demonstrated this tolerance, so that's why we could get where we are. And we also were recipients of a lot of mercy from several people, a good friendship. And even though there are people who are much greater in knowledge, much elder in age, much wiser than us, somehow or other came to our platform, making themselves as equal to us and given us a lot of instructions. So all these clubbed together are actually helping us to move towards devotion. And today when we are sitting here to listen to these topics itself means there was so much of contribution that was done by people whom we have met in our lives, who had this tolerance, mercy, friendship and equality. That's why whenever we listen to these verses, we should know that they are very truthful verses which are guiding lights for our life, and at the same time we should have put responsibility on our shoulders that we also try to exhibit these symptoms, these characteristics, so that we can guide others in our path to the devotion. So one of my co-congregation members long time back had told me one thing which I always remember. He said our posture as a aspiring devotee of the Lord, as a person who has made some kind of a commitment to move towards bhakti, should be like this: one hand up and one hand down. With one hand up, we should catch the lotus feet of those elders who are guiding us to take us back to Godhead, and we should not just leave like that. With another hand down, we should give a helping hand to those people who are willing to take, so that we can also take them. So with that, this force with which we have to lift the people up, and with the connection that we have with the elders and our gurus, we automatically move. Just like the way the birds flip their wings. By doing so, they create a very good energy difference. Vacuum on one side and higher energy on the other side, and they just float. All that they do is just flip. So like that, we create a kind of an environment for us, so we can move up towards the path of devotion by using this principle shloka. Titikshaya karunaya maitra icha akhila jantusu samatvena cha sarvatma bhagavan samprasidati. Titikshaya karunaya maitra icha akhila jantusu samatvena cha sarvatma bhagavan samprasidati. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 11th chapter, 13. I would conclude this posting by remembering in all humility, in humbleness and in devotion to that great Mahajana, Manu. And we also remember through that shloka, Swayambhu Narada Shambhu shloka, that we have to follow the footsteps of these great Mahajanas, or follow the footsteps of those footsteps of the Acharyas who have demonstrated these principles of life. They became guiding lights to us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.